Hello, my name is Sarah Dirks, and this is my introductory video for Building Finance, Module 1. A little bit about me. I graduated from Northwest Missouri State with my undergrad and my graduate degree, and I'm currently in my 20th-ish year of education. I've been with Blue Valley Northwest in Overland Park, Kansas for 10 years. I teach science. I'm also the student government sponsor and bowling coach. Personally, just these past couple months have been rough and not knowing what I'm going to do this summer, but love to travel. Last summer I got to go to France for the World Cup and got to do some hiking, so I'm looking forward to that. I miss going to Sporting Kansas City games and watching baseball and a lot. I have 5 nieces and nephews and with 2 puppies I'm pretty excited about. And for me, the ultimate goal of taking this class is to do diversity, equity, and inclusion work for a district. I don't necessarily want to be a principal, but I think the knowledge that I can glean from a building finance class or just in general school finance will help me better understand how districts work, especially when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. As it comes to the articles, the first one that really took a little bit away about just the 2 ways that money is distributed, whether it's school-based management versus centrally managed resources. And I'm in a fairly large district, 5 high schools, 9 middle schools. And so I think a centrally managed resource is where we go. We tend to go more often than not. What that's going to lead to is more consistency in resource management, making sure that one school is not getting too much or too little, and that it's based on the size of the school and the needs of the school. So we have in my school 1 principal and 3 associate principals, whereas another school has 4 associate principals, or they have an intern in order to help. And so trying to make sure that the district tells you what you need. So there could be a benefit in that. But what I think one of the benefits of the school-based management is that it leads to a service-based culture, and I really like that phrasing, that we are meeting the needs of our clientele, that the principal who's been there for a while hopefully knows what our school needs, knows what our teachers need, and if they're in charge of where the money is allocated, then it might be going more so to where it's needed versus just a blanket, well, this is where it's going. But there are some drawbacks to that in the sense that the principal becomes more of a manager. And I think that that could be a really fine line in education when a principal takes on more of a business manager role versus a principal role, especially when it comes to working with teachers. Do they have the expertise? Do they understand compliance? The second article, this blog, was interesting to me just to kind of like, when we look at school and finance, it's not just like looking at my checking account and seeing what money comes in and seeing what money is going out. There's so much more to it, looking at all the different line items. And as a sponsor, I get to see every month my budget for student government. How much money do we pull in from a dance and how much money do we spend, and et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that my principal would have to look at every single one of those and make sure that they're all balanced with the help, obviously, of our bookkeeper. And the fact that there's so many different resources out there in order to help big and small districts manage their money. And the Smith article probably was my favorite just because it kind of gave more numbers. I think we tend to look at the Department of Education, we look at Betsy DeVos, and we look at how money is being allocated, but the majority of the money that a school district is going to get is from local funds. It's from me paying taxes. But at the same time, here in Kansas, Topeka is the one that's allocating money, which has led to some issues in the past couple of years with lawsuits from smaller school districts not feeling that there's efficiency in money allotment. And the Supreme Court has agreed to that. So it's kind of interesting to think about that when we hear so much about the federal level, but it's really, we need to be focusing more on what is our state and local governments doing with school funding. What I found also interesting is that because it's run by the states, there's these, so many line items, if you will. I'm using that phrase again. But in North Carolina, they had to hire a consulting company so they could understand all the allocations. There needs to be reform in that then. if that's the case. If you don't understand how money is being distributed in your own state, in your own district, I think that's an issue. One of the suggestions that the author gave was a principal empowerment account, and I thought that was kind of smart. Like, the state gives a district X amount of dollars per pupil, then the district could give their principal X amount of dollars per pupil. So it's still centrally based, managed, but also there's that service. I know what my kids need, and I can push that money where it needs to go. This quote really stuck out to me. To me, maybe I'm reading too much into it, which I tend to do, but just the fact that if we focus too much on where the money is going, then we're going to forget what we're actually here to do, which is to educate students and to innovate and to change, to go beyond just a brick and mortar or a textbook or a sit and get situation. And if the money is not there in order to push innovation, then we might be stifled and stagnant in education. My resources. Thank you.